Boom! What's up, everybody? Jade Carey, amigo, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Super pumped. One to just kind of like reconnect with you, catch up, and then also, yeah, deep dive on some conversations that I think a lot of people will find value from, and then selfishly, I'll probably find some value from this, like as well. But before, as always, as we get kicked off, wild or funny story, what you got for everybody?
All right. I think my wild story is going to be how I broke my arm when I was 2 years old.
Right on.
So, yeah, when I was born, my parents owned a gym. So I just grew up playing around, watching everyone, trying to copy what everyone was doing. And I think there was like this little area where like there would be someone who would watch like the kids of coaches or like just whoever. And there was this little boy there, probably like 8 or so. I don't know. I was 2. And you know those like big exercise balls?
Oh, like the physio balls. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So he ran towards one and jumped on his stomach and then kind of like flew off of the ball and like rolled out of it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could do that. But because I was so little, when I hit the ball, it like flew me like insane in the air. And I think I got scared. So I like stuck my arm out and it snapped right here.
Oh,
So the poor lady who had to go find my dad in the gym and tell him something happened to me. But yeah, went to the hospital and then I got a pink cast and I still have it to this day. It's like this big.
do you really?
Yeah, well, we saved it because my dad took me to US Championships
Okay.
that year.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I have it signed by like all these gymnasts that were there.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
that's
dope. That's
really why
cool.
we saved it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's this little pink thing like this big.
Are you a pink kind of gal?
Um, when I was little,
A
I
little?
think not so much anymore.
Well, I reason I asked too, I think it's funny. So like Kate like despises pink. She hates pink, but Suni's favorite color is
It's
pink. And
pink.
so like I was curious like with you, like are you still like I don't know that I've ever
I
like been
don't
around
I
you.
don't hate pink, but I'm not like I need everything in pink, you know?
Pink. Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. Amazing. Awesome. All right, let's dive in. I think like one of the things that like comes to mind, like for me, like I'm curious about with you. I think a lot of times, like when people talk about, hey, like what value do you bring a team? What separates you? Like if there's, a kid like trying to get recruited and it's like, hey, like what value do you bring this team? Everybody's got like the generic 5 to 6 things. It's like, I work hard, I have a positive energy. It's like, I'm a good teammate, I'm happy, like whatever the things are. And one of those, I guess, like word, I guess it's technically 2 words, is I think people get really confused about like is hard work. And obviously it's like as a high achiever, it's like there's a level of work that is required to achieve said things. I guess like take me on a little bit of a journey of like how you started to uncover like the different levels of hard work, right? Like when you're 2, right, hard work is different than like when you're 10 and you're trying to achieve your goals, or then like if you want to go the elite route versus if you want to like be a high level college gymnast. And like any of those, I don't know if they're light bulb moments or just kind of ahas, or if they're conversations with coaches along the way to where it's just like, oh, like there's levels to the game because I think that's like one of the most confusing things because people think they work really hard, right? And it's like, well, what are you comparing to? And oftentimes they're comparing to like people that probably don't work that hard, right? And so I think there's just big confusion with that. So I'm curious of like what your journey was to like uncovering those different levels like for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, like looking back, is like how my mindset developed over the years. Because when I started gymnastics, I obviously was just in it because I loved to flip and fly and run around and kind of just have fun with it and do whatever I wanted. Um, but then as I got older, I realized like that it was more than I mean, it was still fun and it's always been fun for my whole life, but it was more than that. It was like trying to make things perfect or trying to be better than the teammate standing next to you. I think I've always been very competitive, so it was kind of always a game in my head of like, okay, I don't want to just be the best one in my group or my level or whatever. I want to be the best one to ever come out of this gym in general. So I would say once I like hit level 10 and realized, or a little before level 10, I would say, and realized like what college gymnastics was and like how that could come after club gymnastics
Yeah.
was when I was like, okay, this is like, whoa, I got to step it up a little bit more to be even better than what I was before and just kind of separate like what everybody else was doing and what I wanted,
Mm,
like come up with a plan of how I was going to get what I wanted no matter what anybody else was doing. It didn't really matter to me if people were going to sleepovers or
right.
hanging out with friends, going to football games when you're in high school. I could still do those things in moderation, but knew that what I wanted in the end was a lot bigger than that. Um, and then it kind of just, I feel like just aggressively got more and more the higher I went. And I think when I realized that I was good enough to go to the Olympics is when I was like probably the most disciplined and most hardworking, you should say, because
Yeah.
I knew again like what I wanted and I wasn't going to let anybody else get in the way of that.
How are you? Because it sounds like from what you're talking about is like you got like really good at like eliminating distractions, right? And I think that's, I mean, I think that's everyone's toughest battle, right? Like, and even like yes, there's like external distractions. There's the football games. There's like all the sleepovers. There's all those like birthday parties. There's also all those events. But it's also like how easy it is to turn on Netflix and 4 hours can pass you by immediately. How easy it is to pick up your phone and an hour and a half can, pass you by from like scrolling, right? And so how are you, or I guess was it just yeah, how did you kind of wire yourself to eliminate those distractions and like eyes on the prize, so to speak, of like,
Yeah. Well, I think as a kid, one of the biggest things that helped me with that is I think just going to school my whole life. I
mm,
was never homeschooled. I was never any of that. So I would get up in the morning, go to school from 8 to 3, and go to gym from 3:30 to 8 p.m. at night, get home at 8:30 and kind of do it all again the next day. So like I didn't really have time for anything like that, but I also didn't mind it. Like I loved going to school. That was my time to hang out with my friends and socialize with other people. And then the gym again was like I was still with other people and could still socialize, but was really good at knowing when to do those things and when to not. Um, so yeah, I credit a lot to my parents for keeping me in school because I think that that helped a lot. And just the balance of not having gymnastics be too overwhelming. Like I still had another large part of my day other than going to the gym. Um, so that helped a lot. But I think I, from a very young age, was also like an observer in the gym and I could tell like what mistakes people were making or the people who really stood out
mm,
to me, like I'm gonna do what this person is doing because I could see that like they were making progress and that they were excelling. And so I would just like, even if I didn't have gym and my parents were coaching or whatever, and I was just there, like I would watch. I was just fascinated by figuring out like what people did to get where they were and how I could do that better than they could and all
yeah,
those things. And I think that mindset really just guided me forward.
That's fascinating. So, because like one of the things that I believe is like how you collapse time, like how you condense, like how can you what maybe took you 5 years to achieve success, somebody else could do in two. And the fastest way to do that is I always say it's like just model other people, right? Like look at what they're doing. Don't copy and paste, but model, figure out what's the puzzle. Okay, they did this. Like, how do I make this better?
Mhm.
So you've been really good at that. I don't know that I knew that. Like you've been really good at like just figuring those things out, like
I
from
think,
watching others.
yeah, I think it also then developed me to be more of a leader
Mm,
because I was able to figure out like I always had, so when I was young in the gym, I was always kind of in the older girls group because I was kind of a little bit ahead doing what they were doing, wanting to learn more, learn fast. And so I think that also kind of gave me like a bit of a more mature, stronger mindset because I was surrounded by
yep. Yep.
girls who were 6 years older than I was. So I was always just kind of mimicking them and then also like figuring out how I could make it even better than how they did it. Um, and then I think that eventually just turned into me really figuring it out for myself and then
Yep.
being able to be that for the people younger than me.
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
that.
So at some level, I guess like would you agree again, like a huge thing for me, like one of the biggest things I try to preach is like curiosity. Like you can be certain or curious, and if you're not certain, you better get curious. You better ask questions. You try better try to figure it out. And based off what you're saying there, it kind of sounds like you're just wildly curious, like in your own brain.
Mhm. I definitely was curious for sure. There's so many stories my dad especially has told me like you would just sit there with your thinking face on and like watch someone do something and then you just like get up and go try it and I'd like half have my eyes closed. I don't know if I want to watch her try this, but like I would figure it out because I wanted to do that and I wanted to be as good as the people above me were.
Yeah, yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, like, it adds up. Is like again, it's like you've been around a lot of those people, just highly successful people too, and it's like I don't know, man. Like, just be curious. Like, and I think most people, I guess I don't know. I guess it's like you can talk about like growth mindset versus like fixed mindset is like just so many operate from that fixed, almost like, well, I guess this is as good as I'll be, and just like accept that versus like, okay. Can I ask 100 different questions to figure this out to go from point A to point B? It's like I feel like a lot of people ask like one or two questions and they're like, well, it didn't work for me. So like I guess just on to the next thing or just accept whatever they deem it like that they're capable of, so to speak.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely will never accept that if I don't achieve like whatever it is that I'm going towards, I'm never like, oh, okay, fine, it's good enough. I'll
Yeah.
figure out a way, most likely.
Yeah. So going back to like the eliminating distractions, how have you okay, one of people's biggest fears is I think fear of judgment, right? Fear of what their peers will say, fear of like what parents will say, fear of like what their coaches will say. How have you been able to kind of like draw that line in the sense of like honestly eliminating like people's opinions, right? Like as a competitor, right, is you get really curious, you figure it out, and you're like, no, like I believe this to be true until it's proven otherwise. It's like we're probably going to go down this path. And so, how have you been able to kind of like blinders on, eliminate like be more of a kid? Come on, you got to do these things, like blah, 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 blah. Or like even I'm assuming that's like a kid, and then you get to college, right? And then you have 20 and 21-year-old like women sharing a locker room together and it's like everybody's growing and maturing and like figuring life out and so everybody's got their own opinions and perceptions on life and so how have you been able to kind of stick to your beliefs, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I think growing up as a gymnast, you're always judged all the time, whether it's by actual judges, other people,
Facts.
people online when you get older. Like it really is crazy how much judgment that people face by people who probably can't even do half the things that like an athlete is trying to do.
Right.
So I think there kind of two things come to mind for me, and one is just like open conversation with coaches, especially just like talking to them about where you want to go and then coming up with a plan of how you want to get there because I feel like for me, I've always had a plan or a written out agenda calendar of like where I want to go, and for me that really helps me just like I can see it on paper, I can read it, and like it doesn't really matter to anybody else as long as me and the coaches or whomever you're working with like agree that that's the best plan and the best way to get you there. So, and then another thing I think is just mindset. Like, sure, they can judge you and tell you that you should be going about it a different way or you should be doing it a different way. You should look someplace else. Like anything they say is just like, okay, well, let's see what they say when I actually achieve my goal. Like they're not trying to achieve the same goal in most cases. So kind of just like watch me, like we'll see what you say in a year from now when I get what I want. Like I don't know. That's just kind of how I look at it. Like why are you judging? It's almost like judging people for having big dreams, but like what's the point of doing a sport or really like living life without having big goals and big dreams that you want to get to.
Yeah. So what about actually two going down like the big dreams route a little bit too is like one of the things that I bet you are really good at is I think there's kind of like two sides of the equation. There's like there's dreaming big and then there's dreaming clear. And a lot of people like can do the oh, I want to be a national champ. I want to be an Olympic champ. I want to go to college. I want to be a college gymnast. I want to be, a level 10 national champ, like whatever it is. But then like when you ask them to describe that, they're like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know anything. And so the analogy I always give is like if you went to Disney World and I had never been there, right? And you're like, right, there's this place you're like you gotta go to. And I was like, amazing. What is it? What is it? And you're like, it's an amusement park. And I'd be like, all right, like, cool, you know? Unless I
Mhm.
just really wanted to go to an amusement park versus like, dude, there's this place called like Disney World and it's like 6,000 acres and there's like all these characters and you get autographs and there's rides and the food is amazing, right? It's like being able to clearly describe what that looks like. What's that been like? I think maybe you've heard me say this before, but like painting the picture of like dreaming clear of like what that vision, what that mission actually is. Is that something that you believe in, you practice? What does that look like for you in terms of like bringing that future vision into the present reality? Because I feel like you have to be able to see that picture, right? Like that's how you emotionalize with it. That's what inspires you to get up and do the things. It probably inspires you to like shove other people's opinions and distractions to the side. So what's that kind of like look like for you a little bit in terms of like the clarity behind the big dream?
Yeah, I think you really have to surround yourself with those ideas and those visions every day. You can't just kind of pick and choose when you want to think about it if you actually want to get there. So for me, I think probably my first biggest goal in gymnastics was getting a college scholarship and doing gymnastics in college. And
Hmm.
kind of like you said earlier, yeah, it probably started as just like, yeah, I want to go to college for gymnastics. But then the more I like started to invest in watching college gymnastics and like learning more about it, like really educating myself on like school different programs and different athletes and stuff like that. Like just then I had more ideas in my head about what I wanted it to look like. So then I could think about like, okay, what's like my number like one school that I want to go to and like what are the values that that school needs to have. And then okay, now that I got that, like what do I want to accomplish when I am there? And for me that was always just I wanted to be the best college gymnast in the country. And so that kind of would change every year. The more you do something, the more you know about it, and the more
100%.
you
Yeah.
know like how endless the opportunities are. Um, so it kind of evolves that way for me, just surrounding myself with it almost every day, and then like I guess educating myself, teaching myself, being curious about what's in front of me, to then like grow those dreams wider.
And then follow-up question to that, how much do you talk about it?
Um, I mean, before like becoming a college gymnast, I feel like I would talk to it a lot about, especially my parents and coaches, just like because like especially in a sport, like they're the people that are gonna help get you there. Like
Hmm.
you can't, I mean, you can do it all on your own and like the inner like driving force definitely comes from yourself, but they're the ones that can guide you in the right direction and like reach out to coaches, tell you what to do, like all these things. So I think talking to them was very huge for me because then I could kind of keep myself in check and on track. Like, yes, this is still something I want to do. And the people who are there to help me also know like how much I want it to happen. Um, yeah, and then just telling yourself like over and over again that like one day it is gonna happen. I think I like to do that a lot because the more you tell yourself, the more you're gonna keep plugging away at it and like make it happen. So,
Yeah, I just think it's fascinating, like how many people I talk to that like they do the dream exercise like one time, right? And then it becomes a piece of paper kind of like shoved down in the bottom of their book bag. Or it's this journal idea that started in August and you do it for a week and then like you look back by like April and it's like, damn, like I did it for 7 days and then like maybe a handful of days sporadically like throughout. Um, but it is something how quick we are to forget of surrounding like I always say it's got to be here, right? Like if it's not here, you do get distracted. It's very easy to get distracted. I know for me personally, it's like you read a nutrition book, you tend to eat better, right? Because it's like right here, right? You read a money book, it's like you save more money because it's like the concepts and the ideas are like right here. And so how many people dream big for like 1 hour per year, right? And then like don't revisit it. It's kind of fascinating.
I also did like little reminders that I could see every day. So, like, this was more towards like, I started this like when I wanted to like go to the Olympics. Like, for example, like my vision board had an
Hmm.
Eiffel Tower on it, and it was like like the little reminder of like that's where I wanted to go. And like in my locker, just like little things like that could make me realize, because like I do think it's hard, like if you are having a bad day to kind of get yourself down, but those little like cues everywhere, like
Yep.
on your daily journey, like can help you like snap out of it a little bit. Um, so yeah, just seeing that every day really helps me like, okay, yes, I'm still on track. I have a purpose. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. Um, even when you came to our school and we wrote our like goal on the wood board and then we like broke it
Mm.
for that. I
Yeah.
had I wrote, I'll make my second Olympic team on it. And I broke it and I had it next to my bed for until the day it happened, literally. And
Oh, damn, that's super dope.
yeah, it's cool to just again, then like looking back at little things when it does happen, it like reminds you of like, yes, I looked at that every day and now here we are. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so speaking of reminders, how good are you? And maybe this developed, and you can kind of take me on this journey a little bit too. I don't know if this is the right word, but we'll use it anyways. But like, how good were you at essentially bragging on yourself, right? Because I feel like that builds some level of certainty because I think oftentimes just as human beings is a frustrating day happens and we'll call seven people, right? A phenomenal day happens and we tell no one, right? Like, or we're like, check it off, push it to the side, and we're like, yeah, but I got to come back and do it again tomorrow, right? It's like how quickly we don't like celebrate, live in those moments. And so, again, I don't know if like brag is their right word. Maybe it's celebrate, but I would bet at some level you were really good at that. What did that look like for you? Was it writing things down for yourself? Was it talking to a teammate? Was it talking to your dad? Was it talking to coaches? Because like in our darkest moment, we can quickly talk ourselves out of greatness, right? And if we don't have that proof, if we don't have that evidence of like, yo, no, like I truly am a badass. And like, here's 700 reasons how I know that I am a badass, right? Like, what did that look like for you in terms of like brag, celebrate, whatever word is appropriate for you?
yeah, I know definitely when I was younger, I did none of that. I like in my own brain, like I knew I was good and what I was doing was good enough. Like I deep down knew that, but would never admit that like
Right.
I was good enough or like would never take time to be like, oh my gosh, I learned a new skill today. That was so cool. Like all
Yeah.
these things. Um, and I honestly probably wasn't super great at that until college
Mm,
because I think it was a much faster pace of competing and it was all right out in front of me every week.
mm,
Like I could really like I think I could see the progress and the potential more than I could because in an elite season like you compete 3 times a year,
right.
4 times a year. And so I think I would have a high like right after competing, but then like never really truly like celebrate or so to speak like again. But like doing it in college, like I don't know, I think having a team really kind of helped me like realize
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, like because I would tell others, like, no, you had a really good day. Like you should be proud. And then I'm like, so did I. Like, so like almost like becoming a leader kind of helped me realize like that I needed to do that for myself. And then the more that I could do that for myself, like the more other people would value and trust that they should do that too. So, yeah, I wouldn't say until college that I really got good at that because I could have it all out in front of me at a faster pace, but also see it in other people. And so reminding them reminded me.
Yeah. Kind of changing gears, but not changing gears. Speaking of like leadership, and as you kind of stepped into like this coaching, if you will, like role, how much of a piece of the puzzle do you think that will be of like reminding people of like to celebrate, to brag, right? Because it's like how important do you see that being? Because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I mean, most of these people, they're not learning new things, right? It's like
Mhm.
90% of like when you get to the college level, it's like you've been doing for a decade and a half, right? And so it's like the reminders of like, no, you're amazing. No, you need to celebrate that. Like, no,
Yeah,
you need to lock that in.
I think in coaching now, I see it a lot more. And like I do it a lot more. I can see someone like wobble on a scale on the beam and I can see like in their face, like I can see it all go out their head like
Yep.
that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm like, no, that was one. Like you did 10 today. Like, so I see it a lot more now and like almost wish I could have done more of that when I was doing the gymnastics with them because I don't know. Life is too short to ruin your whole day by doing one bad beam routine or like whatever it may be. Because I think it is important to teach them too, not only to celebrate the little wins in their day, in their practice, in their life, but it also teaches them to like bounce back quicker because of course you want to be perfect in every competition or meet that you go to, but things happen. And
Yep.
so teaching them in the gym to just kind of let it go and do another one, like move on, like teaches them like, okay, if something happens in a meet, like we know they're going to be able to finish their routine or go to the next event and be fine. Like it really teaches you so many things. And that's one thing that I think I was able to teach myself is like if something happened in a meet, I could keep going probably even better because I let it fuel me in the right direction instead of tear me down. Like, don't get me wrong, I would be mad about it,
Oh,
but
I know.
wouldn't I wouldn't waste like the rest of the day or the rest of the meat on it. It was kind of like a later problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you can literally like hit pause on it. You can set it to the side
Pause for sure.
for the moment. And
Mhm.
then when we leave here, then we can figure things out like from
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What do you feel like so far? I know the coaching experience has not been long. Kind of a two-part question. What do you feel like now that you kind of like view things through a different lens, like you're saying, like you just see things differently now? The number one or the top belief that you see in athletes to be able to like help reframe or shift. Um, and maybe that ties into like what it was for you, like as you grew up, as you went through club or got to college or competed on the elite level, it's like you start to recognize of like, wow, I've had this belief for like 3 years and this is the thing that's holding me back, right? If I can reframe this belief into something else like over here, because I always say it's like if I curious, right? If I had one question, it's like if we were in the elevator and I had like 30 seconds to ask you a question, it would be like, okay, what do I believe to be true that isn't, right? Because at one level, at one point in your life, you were here on the same level as me, and then you're here, and so it's like, oh, there's all everybody down here has that one belief, and if they can just get rid of this, it's like all of a sudden they climb the next rung on the ladder, so to speak. Um, I guess what was that like for you in terms of like a shift in belief, and like what do you feel like if you could give athletes like one new like belief, what do you feel like that would be?
Whew. Um, Kind of ties back to what we were just talking about, but I think the shift for me was like has to do with resilience because I wasn't always good at letting it go. I really had to work hard and I think just naturally as I got older figured out that okay, sulking in these negative thoughts is really just making it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was the biggest shift for me in being able to just let it go in the moment and keep going and then not getting mad afterwards, but really just, okay, like that happened and like one, how did it happen? Like, was it even in my control to fix
Mm,
it?
mm,
Or, and two, like if it was in my control, like what did I do wrong? And if I didn't know what I did wrong, then asking a coach or someone who does know like what I did wrong and how to not do that again. Because I definitely didn't like to make mistakes. So once I was able to figure out like to look at it that way and like compartmentalize it more, just like, okay, yeah, that really sucks that that happened, but nothing you can do about it now. So, how did it happen and how are we going to fix it?
Yeah.
Um, and I think coaching now, I would definitely want to help people get that faster because it really is a game changer, especially when competing. And so I try the best I can every day if I see someone kind of going south in their mind of just like, okay, well, actually think about like why you fell or why you missed that release or like whatever it may be because just being like, oh, getting off the bar and saying, I suck and I'm never gonna make it ever again is not gonna help. So
At
really just
all.
like, kind of like it also ties back to like being curious for yourself of why something went wrong and asking the questions of the people who are there to help you instead of just beating yourself down and truly like understand and kind of like being a student of what you are doing, really learning and taking it all in, so that you know how to fix it on your own when if you are in like a pinch.
Yeah. Do you feel like, at least so far, do you feel like people are curious enough? And I have a follow-up to this. Like, do you feel like athletes ask enough questions?
Like in general?
Yeah.
Um, Probably not.
Yeah. Because I'm curious too, or like I find it fascinating. They'll be like, well, like I ask questions and I'm like, yeah, but like you ask one and then it just like accept any answer, right? And so I think of like being curious of like if I ask you a question and I like still don't understand, it's like, okay, hold on, maybe I need to reframe that question so that like I can like actually understand what
Mm,
it is
yeah.
where I'm trying to get to.
I was gonna say like I think a lot of kids, athletes will ask a question and maybe it's not answered in the way they fully understand, and they don't want to ask again because they don't want to be annoying or rude or not sound like they know what they're doing. Um, and that's something I've also learned because I'm starting to be able to tell, like, if I do give a correction to someone and they're like, okay, yeah, yeah. But then, like, I can tell they didn't try to change it or no. So then I'm like, did you fully understand what, like, how I said that or no? Like, so I've kind of been trying to be better at, like, re-asking for them almost of, like,
Yes.
did you fully understand? Because it's like, it's okay if you didn't. I want you to fully understand so that we can fix it kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can think of like how many times I've been in a room with the team, ask a question, and they give answers that literally don't pertain to the question. I'm like, okay, I need to like figure out, like I need to reframe the question because that did not
Exactly.
land
And
at
that's,
all.
yeah, and that's when my dad has, like, like all the coaches really like maybe like if I can't get across, I'm like, Dad, can you tell them in your own way this? And like that really clicks with them, or like the way I say things can really click with somebody else. And I think that's been a really cool part for me to like be able to learn because it really is like a group effort and you can say things in different ways to make people, and it's really the same thing, but like however it can get across is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always go back to like words matter, right? And sometimes it's like a lot of people don't know what words mean, right? So they just like throw words out there and then like you ask them what that means. Somebody's like, motivate me. It's like, okay, well, what is like define motivation? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, how am I going to motivate you if you don't even know what that means, right? And so I think that, I mean, even for me, you talk about like being a student and you talk about like a podcast, like I don't watch a ton of podcasts, but like the ones that I do watch are like the longer ones, like a Joe Rogan or something like that. And like 60% of why I watch it, I'm like, okay, what kind of questions does he ask, right? Like, because he can talk for 4 hours to just like anybody and everybody, right? And so it's like, how does he do that? Because he has to keep somebody engaged. And it's like, if it's surface level questions of like, what's your favorite Starbucks order? What's your favorite color? It's like, like they're not going to hang on for 4 hours.
True.
So yeah, it's just like, I'm very fascinated with like words and questions and like how to get people to understand things. Because I think in y'all sport too, actually somebody brought this up recently because I was like, why aren't you asking follow-up questions? And they were like, well, I've always been told to respect adults, to respect authority. And so they fear that the follow-up is like questioning their authority versus like, no, I really just need clarity, right? Like that's really what I need. And so I don't know, it's like an athlete can go in and be like, Jade, why am I not in the lineup? And you're like, because the football team lost this weekend. And they're like, okay, thanks. Like literally doesn't make any sense. And then they just accept it to be true. Um,
Yeah, I could
so
definitely see that because I feel like I probably used to be like that too. Like I would just be like, okay, and then like you try to scramble and figure it out yourself. And I mean, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I would always rather someone be like, I don't understand. And we like
yes,
really try to work through it together because then also like no one's time is being wasted. Like
right.
we're getting you on track as fast as we can. I'm now actually helping you instead of you just being like, okay, thanks, and not really know what I mean. And so we're all like, you're gonna get to where you want to be a lot faster when you understand what's being told of you.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too, piggybacking off your story. It's like if you pull your dad in or if you pull another coach in to like help out is I think the art of great coaching, right? Like kind of dropping the ego. If somebody asked, I don't remember where I was, somebody asked me a question and I was like, that's like a really good question. And I honestly don't know the answer to that. So then instead of me trying to like make something up and like make you believe it, I was like, let me like give me a couple days. Like let me figure it out. Let me
Yeah,
ask my
and
mentors.
I've had to do that, I feel like quite a bit because I'm just like new to the group, new to
Right.
the how it all works. And I think they're naturally just comfortable with me because I was their teammate. So they're like,
Yep.
what's this or when's that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll get back to you. Like
Yeah.
one sec. So yeah, it's just been interesting.
Well, I think that that builds trust too, right? Like then you don't like
Yeah,
it
they know
shows that
enough
you're
to
like a
then like
know-it-all.
spit out an answer for them if I really don't know what's going on. And then also teaches me like, oh, these are the types of questions that people are going to ask me. So I'm going to make sure I know them now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I just think like, oh, it was a definition. That's what it was. Because like big on definitions, like, okay, here's this word, define this. And so when people sit down and talk with me as they spew out words, and so I'm just like, okay, but what does this word mean? And somebody asked me like a word. I don't remember if I had said or it came up in a conversation. I was like, I actually haven't sat and thought of a good definition for that word. And so it's like, let me think. Like, let me like I'm not gonna just try to make something up. Let me actually think what I think
Yeah.
that word means. So yeah. How important going like down the identity rabbit hole for a second of and we can kind of stick with the coaching piece a little bit too if you want, but like how important has it been of like knowing who you are, personality, style, um, how important has that been in I guess A is like being a successful athlete and it also is like as you venture in like wanting and desire of being a successful coach because I think sometimes especially like early on difference in like copying and paste and modeling. People see like a successful coach and they just try to copy and paste like, oh, Coach Saban, I'm just gonna like be him. And I'm like, it's literally not your personality, right? It's like there's things that you can probably implement into your personality, but how important or have you had to sit down and kind of think about that in terms of like identity and like who am I as a coach and what does that look like? Yeah,
Yeah. Well, first, I think kind of just as an athlete in general, I've always like knowing my identity has really been everything because if you don't know who you are. You don't know truly what you want and truly how you're going to get there. Um, so I think just being a natural competitor, I was able to figure that out pretty quickly, especially being in gymnastics from a young age. I could realize like, okay, yeah, I'm good at this and this is who I am and this is what I want. So it really just helped me kind of fast track in my brain like I'm going to eliminate distractions because
Yep.
I want to be here, or I'm gonna do extra numbers because I want to be here one day. So it's kind of cool to look back on all of that. But I think as a coach now, it's weird to think about. I think a little bit still figuring that out. I'm obviously
Yep.
still like to the core like the same person and this have the same beliefs and values, but like I think the execution now of it is a little bit different. And so I think because I think I don't know if this will make sense, but
It
in
will.
in my head, I feel like I'm like pretty harsh on the beliefs and the values and like what I want to help get people as, but like when I actually talk to someone, I'm not like harsh or mean or stuff like that. So it's like getting those like values in my head of what I want to be, but like not executing them because now I actually have to like talk and coach and help people teach instead of just like think about it in my own head and like listen to others. So like having that come across in a way that is like how I want people to like portray me or think about me as a coach because I think like your reputation does matter. And like if I were to think like in my head how I would think to myself, like, and then say it out loud, I don't think that it would always work out in your best interest. And that's not like who I am and how I talk to people anyway. So I think it's just like I'm not coaching myself,
Correct.
coaching others. So I can't like just like say what I would say to myself, you know?
1,000%. And then the
Because I'm
heart.
never gonna tell Sally if she fell off the beam, like, oh my God, you suck at gymnastics. But that sometimes may be the first thought that comes in my head about myself.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. Still like kind of learning how that all goes.
Well, and then like maybe you've experienced this now. I would bet a lot of money you will experience this at some point is the most frustrating part is like when you say it's like can't always just say what comes in your brain. And it's like a lot of times, a lot of that frustration comes because you believe in a kid so much, right? Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like so frustrated. You're like, I literally just want to shake you.
Like just
Like,
stay on the beam.
and so it's like it's because it does matter and because you do care about the individual and like because you're like, I literally asked um an athlete this within the last like month or so. It's like sitting down with a conversation and like I was like just literally help me understand. And the question was like how do you not see what I see like in terms of like what you're actually capable of? And they're like I don't know yet. I was like okay, well then like right back on me it's like okay, I gotta figure out how to reframe this in a way so that they do see this because it's like dude, like you're amazing. How are you not like, I mean, you're already here, but like you could literally draw the
Mhm.
line off the page and go into a new stratosphere. It's like if you saw what I saw, like, ah,
Yeah. I that part has definitely been interesting too for me because like you said, now that I've like stepped away from actually doing the gymnastics with them, I see it even more in them
yep.
than I did before. Um, yeah, it's like figuring out how you get it across to each kid even because you can't say the same thing to Sally as you say to Susie, like, you know? So it's like I don't know. For me, it's like a fun challenge. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get you to figure this out, or I'm gonna get you to believe what we all believe because it's like just one little thing in your head is holding you back from a lot.
No, like
Or it can't.
I yeah, I was talking with a number of people and I was like, you know what the most fascinating thing is? I was like, tell me what your biggest dream outcome for the season was. And I don't remember like what a lot of their responses was. And I was like, okay, tell me everything that you would need to do to achieve that. And I have yet to hear more than three things. I'm like, okay, so you're two things away from achieving everything. Now, those can be two big things, right? Like there can be a lot of work and to be done in one of those things. But it's like I think we get so overwhelmed and we doubt ourselves and we create all these stories in our brains like, I'm so far away. It's like you're literally three things. Three. Can we hone in on three? Can we give our attention to like one of these three like per day? And then like in 3 months, it's gonna be amazing like where you are. But I think people overwhelm themselves so much.
For sure.
All right. One or two last questions. How has leadership changed from athlete into like now? Like, what's it look like for you and in terms of like the shift?
Mhm. Um, I think for me, I I was a large leader by example. And so
Now
now
you
it's not so much that because I'm
can't get
not
on the beam
showing
and do it for them.
yeah, I'm not showing them every day that I'm doing an extra one or this one wasn't up to the standard, so I'm not going to count it. Or like, I'm not showing them those things anymore. I'm more so telling them those things. So definitely like using my voice more, which I think I definitely did that as I went about in college, started to like use my voice more. Uh, but yeah, the biggest change for me has just not showing them physically. Like,
Yeah,
if you do this and you like, if you follow, like this can happen. Um, so it's me just trying to figure out like how to get them, like me to say that without actually showing them. Um, so yeah, sometimes it's like I'm learning a lot that it doesn't all the same things don't click for every single person and trying to figure out like what groups of people or what individuals like attract to what and like
yep,
how to motivate them or something that's like super motivating for one person, they could be like, well, I don't really care about that. So like
yep.
just finding those people of like and then remembering how it all meshes together.
Together. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's been I think now that like we're in official practices and season is coming up closer, like it will be easier because we'll do goals and like hopefully everyone will have the same end goal and you can like um tailor most of like what you're telling them or drive them through that end goal. So I think now that like we're all back together that it will be a lot more exciting.
Yeah, totally, totally. All right, last question. If you were in a stadium with 100,000 people and you could only leave them with one message, what would your message be?
Ooh. Um, I've kind of always lived by, I know it sounds kind of like short and to the point, but like having fun and enjoying what you do. And so like for me, that's always been like my number one thing. Like I want to enjoy my journey in gymnastics, enjoy my journey in life because you only get one life and if you're not enjoying it, then like what's the point? So really just making sure that like of course there's some days where I don't enjoy it.
Total.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
just like but the overall why of like why you do something is because you love it and it's because like that's where you want to be and like again because you're having fun doing it. So that's always been my biggest thing is to find that why you do something and why it brings you so much joy and really like have that be the forefront of whatever you're doing in life because if you don't enjoy it, why are you doing
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like one of my biggest things is decisions, right? And making decisions for you, right? Not making decisions for any other reason the majority of the time, right? It's like
Yeah, you're not going to get to the Olympics because your friends want you to. It's because you
literally.
want to and you love what you do.
Yeah, yeah. I love it, dude. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate you jumping on. Always love chatting with you. Yeah. Until next time, everybody. Peace.
Yay.